Hey everyone, welcome along. My name's Ross, the creator and founder of Geordie Consulting and Geordie Intelligence, the YouTube channel that you're watching right now. There's a couple of things I want to cover today, but what we're really going to look into is kind of the ideas of documentation and what goes on in terms of actually the best way that we've found for documenting everything to do with your Power BI content. You're free to use it. You're free to say, I disagree with that completely, but do the important thing. Let us know down below if you agree or if you disagree. Tell us, add a comment, makes it really useful, helps everyone else who's watching the channel understand what they should be doing or see if they think something's different. And who knows, you guys might say something and I'll be like, wow, I'd never thought of doing it that way. It's happened before, I'm sure it will happen again. But first, let's do the boring bit. Geordie Intelligence is a YouTube channel. YouTube channels completely reliant on interactions that the audience has with the channel. So do me a favor, like, subscribe to the channel, give us a comment, tell us whatever you think about the video, tell us if there's things you like or things you don't like. But now, let's get on with the content. So this is a bit of an extra one, this. One of the things I realized is that I'd actually missed something that we were going to put in and do. So I built the model and I deliberately did something wrong in the model for this data set, and then kind of the content related to it ended up being cut and then it's never really come back. But now as we're getting towards the app, I need to fix it. So all right, we need to cover this. It's really important that you guys kind of see and understand what's going on. So what are we talking about and what's the issue with this? So this is around modeling, and in particular, this is about bidirectional relationships and the way they cause problems. The example that we put in was around customers and addresses. So there's an address for a sale, and obviously there's a customer tied to that. So should we tag, does the address belong to the customer or does the address belong to the sale, is kind of the question. And we went down the road and said, well, let's do it where it belongs to the customer. Of course, is the wrong way, okay? But this is something that you will find happens in business an awful lot. And because of this, which doesn't have a proper address, it makes it very difficult to do. We just got like a zip code for the thing. So, you know, in your line of business system, you'd have something different, but it's allowed me to put this together, which I think really shows what's going on. So this one here on the left, countries by region, sales, okay? So it's the sales. And this is customer, okay? So customers in the region. And what it means is if we say, well, East region, we can see it filters down to East region, but we see we've got customers all over. And this is because the customer has multiple addresses. So business customers, potentially even residential customers who've moved house, have multiple addresses in the system. If we went the other way, and we said, well, let's pick East here, we can see it doesn't match properly. So there's still some differences with it. But you can see the numbers are different. So here, with East selected, we can see we've got most of our sales amount. So surprise, surprise, we're at 2 million. So this is effectively saying that these customers that the East is linking to are going through and following up with multiple other customers across the regions. So as I say, we pick East, we can see there's ones everywhere, and we can see those actually account for the lion's share of what goes on. We pick East here again, we see that's 678,000. We pick East here, we see it's completely different, it's 2 million. So there's something going on, and I think the best way to show it is if we bring the matrix back, which I hid deliberately, so we didn't come through straight away. So here we look, if we follow through the central, and on the columns, let me just double check, make sure I'm right, yeah. So this is the region, so actually the sales region, which region we were selling it into, and we see there's 500,000 there. But if we look at the central region, in terms of customers who have an office in the central region or a delivery address in the central region, see those total 1.9 million. So there's a big difference there, and it's something which is really important. This is one of those things that you find can creep into a data model. And this is one of the areas that really is it's an important topic to cover. So let's bring it in. So it is our sales, create a new visual here just to see, because I think it's important that we understand customers. We've got sales address, and then we have customer address link, and then we also have addresses. Okay, so what the challenge that we've got is it was this link table, and this is always one of those things. It's important at times to get a link table in, but the key bit that's breaking it is this bi-directional relationship. Okay, so bi-directional relationships, and then what that means if we zoom in here is you can see the arrow is pointing both ways. So what we're doing is we're looking up customers that have a match with the address or the postal code for it, what the address ID is. So it's not inherently bad, you might think, but the problem with it is because of the way it matches up, you're reversing a one-to-many relationship. So you're going many to one, which then means you're effectively built a many-to-many relationship out of what was a one-to-many, which is what's causing the problems. So what you would really need to do is something very different. We probably need to work out a way to say, well, where these are only pull the customers that relate to that. But there is some question marks around it in terms of which is the right way to go. And if in practical terms, if we encounter this, we would know what to do, really. But the key point that we wanted to cover, or I wanted to cover with this demo, was around there's points where you need to discuss it. But definitely any point or time you find yourself adding in a bi-directional relationship, you should always question, am I building the model correctly? Is something going right? And that was the lesson that we really wanted to teach you way, way back when we were doing the modeling back in semester 2. Or semester 1, I think we were with this. But the key thing with this is there's an easy fix here. We've got the postal code. We can switch the sales address, and we will for the rest of the set. But I thought we need to cover this because it's really important that you see and that you understand the difference. I think the best explanation I've had for bi-directional relationships in terms of whether you should use them or not was from Alberto Ferrari when he was doing my Mastering DAX course with us. And he said, yeah, you can use bi-directional relationships, but you can also go to hell. I think that should kind of explain it enough to you. If somebody like Alberto Ferrari says that, you should probably listen. That said, I have used them professionally. They are something that there is a use for, and there are times that you do need to use them, but always be aware of what you do and when you do them. And if you're seeing models with everything as bi-directional relationships, these are the sorts of things that you can find where what should be a simple measure suddenly just starts producing random rubbish, really. And this is a real problem. You know, we pick south here, we get one set, we pick south here, we can see there's a different subset selected. So we've definitely got something going on. It's something to be aware of. But let's carry on with the rest of the video. We've been looking at apps, haven't we? Okay, and this semester is all about the Power BI service and really what goes on within the Power BI service that really isn't covered by most content that's out there. So much out there is around saying, look, build a pretty report, do this. Okay? There's so many things I don't like about that. There's so many things as well I don't like about seeing single workspaces used to do everything. So as I say, our original back to basics, yeah, it's one workspace doing everything. We could build the visualization task, the basic visualization task flow to kind of show what's happening. The challenge with that is always, how do you manage the content that's within that workspace? And this is where, for me, there's so many things that just don't make sense. So Microsoft recently allowed you to bring folders in. And it's like, well, okay. And I put the stuff in the folder here because what I wanted to check was, is the app folder aware? Because that's really important. So, I'll tell you what, let me get it. So what do I mean by folder aware? So if you create a new folder in your workspace, okay, why would you create a new folder? It kind of is the, I guess, the point of the question I'm saying. So let's see if we can get this. Let me see if I can do this. Okay. So what do we mean? So if we have databases as our source, yeah, okay. So you guys can follow that. And then that's going to go to our model kind of thing. That's Dataflow, isn't it? Sorry, our model is Notice the model's weird now, isn't it? It's a weird square, isn't it? With dashes on it, something like that, yeah? So that goes to our model, okay? So data model, okay? We can understand that. What happens elsewhere though, isn't it? Because, and this is where I think people are struggling. So from model, what we're recommending is kind of this kind of a landscape. App 1, app 2, app 3. Okay, so we've got kind of data goes to model, goes to app 1, 2, 3. Now, Microsoft are bringing in what they're calling organizational apps. That's what it's called. Yeah, organizational apps. My mind just went completely blank there. I just couldn't read it. Organizational apps. So what Microsoft are saying is, well, you can put everything in one workspace. You can have a folder, and you can then use your task visualizations to say, well, this is our data modeling or our data ETL pipelines. We can then have our data model, which is brilliant, even better. And we can then have all our apps in one workspace. Right. So fine, okay, I can kind of get to that. And then we go, but right, let's really think about this. So there's a couple of things with apps that just make this, just the wheels fall off this wagon oh so quickly. Like, I'll be honest, like workspace apps that Microsoft have, they are not perfect. They're real gotchas within them, but they are good enough to be effective, would be what I would say. The challenge that you find with the idea of putting multiple apps in one workspace is if we come back to here and we say, right, we've got this, what happens when my next thing is here? We have data. We have model. And then that needs to go to there. Okay? And well, yeah, let's just say it needs to go to app 1 and app 2 and app 3. Okay? What happens then? What it means is, well, we end up having to put everything into one workspace. We can do multiple task flows, which is fine, no problem. We've got multiple task flows. How on earth am I managing the application life cycles of 3 apps that contain content from 2 models? And this is just 2, as I say, this is one of the reasons why we say aim for 1, okay? Try and get down to 1. We know you're never gonna get to 1, because the reality is the more models you have, and if, in practical terms, try and keep it below 5, that are your core line of business ones, there's always gonna be separate ones that need to be separate. So you will have like a separate HR one that will need to be separate, but you will have a summarization from the HR one that potentially is visible to a lot more people in terms of actually what are our staff costs, what are these. And this is why we keep coming back and saying, well, look, let's separate them out. The other thing is, once you've got your app, it's not a static thing, right? The point of an app is it's never going to be static. You should almost be having people saying, I want new content to it on a weekly, monthly basis. So your refresh cycle and your update cycle in your app is potentially going to be quite high. Okay, you are potentially going to be churning through quite a lot of updates into an app. And this is really where the risk comes in, because if I go to our app for here that I've published, okay, and this will be your first time seeing it, okay, so we've actually done a bit of work with this now, it's progressed. Okay, I've given it a nice background, put some dashboards in, we can see, oh, okay, yeah, I can see what's going on with this. Okay? This would be where my execs would come to potentially and say, all right, this is what's going on. Okay, we've got annual summaries, we've got various things like this. It's a different layout to how I usually do it. We've gone vertically as opposed to horizontally. But I thought, mix it up a bit for you guys to see. Some people would say horizontally in this situation would be better, where we've got the all regions going across the west, the south, the east, the central. So I couldn't find an SVG for central. Hopefully for your business, you would have the right icons for all the things that go on. We've then got a couple of other things as well. And we've got our annual summaries there. you might decide in your business, we want additional content on here. But what we need to understand is these are a menu system. This is a menu. So if I say, oh, what's happening here? Why is that 9,000 for the current month? You know, it should be, or why is Central only 3,000 for this month? It's terrible. It needs to be more. We click on here and it will show us, take me to a report page that will show me the details of what's going on. Okay. And we can then look, and I've put in some filters on this. I thought I'd resize that. Of course, I haven't updated the app since then, but we can look and see based on quantity sold, based on profit percentage. So we can actually start to really gauge what's going on. And we can see things like here, where Texas's profit percentage is actually low. You know, we're making a loss in Texas. So we know we're making a loss in Texas. We can then say, well, what was the sales amount in Texas? It was huge. So something weird is going on with Texas. So suddenly we're able to actually analyze our figures. So what started with, well, why is the sales amount so low, has become something very different, that we're actually able to do a lot more. This is going to the wrong thing, isn't it? Current month filter, don't worry. Just must not have updated the app, which is where the problem comes in, isn't it? Okay. So this is the challenge that we've got. So we've got here the content, and we can see that's set up correctly. If I choose to say, well, edit it, what happens is it takes me to the workspace. Not taken to the version that's published in the app. So this is why I'm saying it clones the workspace content. Okay, so if we come through into here and we go to product current month, which is the report that we were looking at before. Sorry, not product current month, was it? It was the, see, I should have checked, shouldn't I? It was regional sales current month, wasn't it? Yeah. Okay, so we've got here, where you can see, oh, it's not in all those. Okay. Must have done the annual, not that. So we can quickly fix that. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to Control C on that, highlight that, Control C. Let's go to a different one. Let's delete that, Control V, and it'll say, do you want to sync the slicer? Might as well sync it, yeah. And next one, delete it, Control V, sync the slicer. Okay, so we've got sales amount selected here. That's interesting. Maybe we behave differently, but okay. And we'll do the same here as well. That's fine. I don't mind. I'm going to not sync the slicer on that, I think. Oh, that was it. Here we go. Right. Okay, so I didn't delete the other one. Okay, so we've got that. So we suddenly have that there. It's year offset. That's definitely the problem. So we go month, year. Okay, we're going to put that into here, into the filters on all pages. And this is not month, year. Month offset, isn't it? Month offset. Where this is 0. Okay, and apply that. So this is actually now going to say this is the current month, which is what I wanted this to be, which is concerning me because I've did too many of these when we're preparing this. Okay, so we can change that to just be the day and do the same here. Do year. And finally, let's do current month here. Do date here. Okay, so we've got it. Okay, everything's sorted. We see what's going on. That's done. So we now save this. Okay, brilliant, perfect, job done. Well, it's not done, is it? Because the app hasn't been updated. And this is where the problems start with this. This is what one of the things I wanted you to really see. Get this through. Okay? We need to be clear about this. What I now have is if I come to the app and I go to the regional sales and I come to US sales, see that's still annual. This is here. If you check the regional sales, so I did the regional sales and got them wrong around. That's fine. Okay. Not a problem. But we've got to this point, haven't we, where there's clearly a difference. There's like, well, the two versions are different. And that doesn't make any sense. And this is one of the gotchas that will happen with apps. So how do you manage understanding what that content is? And the only way is eyeballing it across. And I hate saying it, but it is. I haven't found a way to get the two bits of information together. So what we actually have, if we look in here, okay, bear in mind we're in regional sales, is it's this GUID here for the location that it's stored in. Okay, if we look back to our, okay, we've got that, okay, that's the app. So if I go through and I say, right, let's come out of the app, let's go to the workspace, and it's app 1, okay, so this is the workspace GUID. Now these are, you can say, oh, I'm going to copy that and get into your stuff. They're different. Okay, so these are different entities that's storing stuff. The GUIDs for the actual content are the same. So it is being cloned to a different location, but it is being cloned to a different location. That's kind of the point that you need to be kind of really aware of. It's cloning your data and putting it somewhere else. And there's no way of actually retrieving that GUID content that I am aware of. Okay, if someone knows something and I'm just completely in the dark, please let me know. But everything I've tried to try and access it doesn't work. Try and edit, you don't. There doesn't seem to be any API connectors that allow you to access it. I mean, obviously there is something, but yeah, it's different content. So how would you manage and maintain that? You've just seen as well me edit the content in the service, and that happens an awful lot. So in the event, for example, that we'd published that and we'd got there and everything was ready to go, and I was about to go into a meeting with the board member, I went, oh no, this is wrong. And you go, oh, like my manager quickly checks it, sees, oh, there's an issue here. We tweak it, we publish it, we update the app. The only record of that update is then the version that's in the workspace and the app version. But then what happens if I've got an offline version in SharePoint stored and there's a change ready to go through that somebody else is working on? This is where the problems really start. Now, you can go down and you say, well, we're going to do an app development pipeline. And I think, in all honesty, your app development pipelines work really well in this section here, okay? I'm not going to have the debate or the discussion about our app development pipelines of any value whatsoever in Power BI. I can understand where they come from. I understand the reasoning behind them. I understand the mindset, okay? If you're down at this point though and you're saying, right, we've got the app development pipelines, it's fine to do it, but I think there are things within it that we need to think through, and potentially what you need is an app development pipeline for data and an app development pipeline for a model, but potentially the two don't mix. And I think that's where, for me, bits get complicated. The view of saying, well, we're going to have one for each just becomes problematic. And equally, if we're going to go down the route of saying, well, we're going to have dev, QA, and prod for data, what's the difference between dev, QA, and prod? And because you're not transacting. It's not transactional data, which is basically where dev, QA, and prod is about. It's about, we're going to record transactions. We're going to do business process. We need to make sure that that business process is consistent. When you're doing an extract, there's an impact on doing an extract. So if your production system is being hammered because your people are doing stuff in dev, you've got a problem. Yes, if you have a dev production system, you can potentially extract the data from dev and make sure it works. That makes sense. But do you need a separate workspace for that and different management cycle for that? I'm not sure. What's your QA? Who's validating that that change is effective? Chances are it's going to be you who's just done the work. So what are you doing? It's kind of where I get it. I understand. I know what Microsoft's doing. I understand the whole push for DevOps. I get it. But when you are doing an extract and a model, governance around your model, definitely 100% agree. We need to work through that. Sucks. Power BI just does not do it at all. Okay, the requirements, the needs of model don't work. Hopefully this new project, Power BI project side, is going to work with that, where it's trying to separate the idea of schema and data, which currently exists within the model. But again, it still seems to be in preview. It still seems to be pretty early days. Anything could happen. Again, preview features are notorious, especially with Microsoft, for features falling. So anyway, we get to that point. The key thing though is the app one, let me pick a thing again. Pick orange, okay? App 1, App 2, and App 3 content. Do we do that? And then when you get to the point where you say, well, the workspaces, if we go back to the workspace and the app are two different things. We've potentially got already a dev in terms of the workspace and a prod in terms of the app. How do you manage the middle there? And the QA side is the question. So the QA side for an app, this is where it gets like really different. Hang on. So the QA side for an app would look like what is I guess the question I'm asking. So what we would typically say is, well, we can build all the content in the app. Okay, we could say, have a folder for app content V1, potentially, yeah, put the stuff in there, everything goes through, it published. Brilliant. What we want. Okay. And we could put the folder, we'd put a date in there, that would all work, that's fine. But what I've checked when I went through and did an update of the app, okay, and we look at content here, this was important to me. If we go to add content, there's no note to say where the folder is. So it wouldn't be as simple as me saying, well, I'm going to have a folder for each version of the app, and we just copy and paste them through, or just untick the boxes here and tick the new ones, because there's nothing to show them as that they're there. Equally, I think, and I haven't tried this, but let's see, can we? No, yeah, you can't. So let's see if we went here and we said, well, let's save a copy of this to the workspace. This is 2014, isn't it? Okay. So it will let me save with the same name in a different folder, which is good. That's interesting. That's good to know. Okay, I hadn't tried that before, actually. I've suddenly thought, in a different folder? I know in the same one you can't. It has to have a different name. So in a different folder you can, which potentially is useful. So as I say, we could go through and say, well, we're going to do that. But then if we go back to update the app here, we look at content, and we go to add content, we can see we've got the second one. How do I know which one is which? Okay, and I could say, well, that's fine. You untick the one that's ticked and tick the new one. That would work. But then we'd have to make sure we removed all the old content from the workspace. So again, there's method to this, and it would work. And then all we would need to do is potentially come back to here, sit down with our clients and say, right, we're going to take you through, this is what the new version of the app will look like. It won't be in the full app schema, but these are the dashboard pages that we're going to put together so that we can go through and see, this is the exploration, this is what it would be like. Does that work as a QA environment? Okay, and again, potentially we can even give them limited or a period of, you have viewer access to the workspace for you to see it. Viewer is the same effectively as app permissions. It's a different thing. Don't use viewer on a long-term basis, would be my advice, by the way. If we can do that, we can kind of get to that point. It works, right? And we can then piece that all together. We've got something going, right, okay, we've now understood everyone's using the app correctly. We've published an updated version of the app. So that might be a way of doing it. And then we remove the old folder from it, download everything from it and save it. That might actually be the discipline that we need. Maybe folders are going to turn out to be a good idea. What folders and what we can't do though with this is manage the audiences, which is then part of the problem. So we need to work through audiences and determine how we piece together the audience structures that we're going to need to make sure that everything works as it should. So first off, we have to put in the, well, let's go back, update the app, I'll show you. So what I checked earlier, this is what you might have seen when I was looking at the web pages, just double checked that you can be in multiple audiences, because I'm sure you can, but I double checked. So because people can be in multiple audiences, we put the content in, we can add content, and you simply say, well, this is visible or not visible to that audience. So we've got core app here, create a new audience, pick the membership for it, and there you go. Okay. And then you pick the additional one. So if for example, we were saying, well, this one's not going to be visible to the normal team, we would say, right, for here, this is going to be visible along with everything else, and this one. Okay. As with most things with Microsoft, it's additive. So like you tick all of them for that additional audience. If you went through and removed them, it would hide them from the additional membership, if that makes sense. Yeah. If like, the way Microsoft typically explain it is you have like an allow and a deny and an inherit is kind of the general ways of permissions. So a deny overwrites an allow or overrides an allow. If you're a member of 10 groups that allow you to do something and one denies it, the deny will win, okay? And you will not have access. So if you hide this from everything, if you hide all the content from the audience apart from this, that audience won't have access to the rest of the stuff, kind of what I'm saying. Okay. Yeah. So we go through, we do that. We've got, as I say, a group there. Brilliant. We can then say, let me just remove this audience because I don't want this. Delete it. Okay. You can have up to 10 audiences, which I think makes sense. It works for it. Update that. Update. Great. Jobs are good. Okay. So what we've now got is an updated app. So if we went to the updated app, here, sorry, the apps, go to the updated app here, we should see now, if we come to the regional sales CM, yeah, it's monthly. Okay, and we see even says down here it's monthly. And we've got this view where we can pick profit, percentage, and we can see what's happening. We've got the sales breakdown by region. We can say, oh, well, West, I'm really interested in what went on West. It was Central, wasn't it, that we saw our profit percentage in Central. Okay, so we can see there's information going on, and that was actually, it was over the annual one, wasn't it? So can't see that in a moment. Really annoying. So we've got that, it works, it's pieced together, yeah? But you need to think through your update cycles and where you're going to put deployment pipelines, where you're going to put CDCI cycles within it, because there's just too much within the service side especially, and too much scope that will cause you problems. So documentation, right? So we've mentioned before, right? The best documentation that you'll find in terms of actually from the core, I want to document the process and have our technical documentation, is still far and away going to be that documentation that is SQLBI.com's combination of the DAX Studio and VertiPack Analyzer. So there are a few tools out there now that will allow you to actually get access to a lot of the metadata and schema information. You can even now get it from within Power BI, the Power BI service itself. And that'll be something that we'll do on the live stream, is actually use some of the measures within there to really explore that and build potentially a little data dictionary as well. So we'll build a data dictionary showing what goes on, giving us the DAX content, giving us everything. The challenge with that, and this is where the problem is that then is live, okay? So live updating documentation is brilliant, but it also has no change control, no management structure. Well, this is what it says. Well, that wasn't what was agreed. Two different things. Being able to extract the VPAX file, VertiPack Analyzer file, at the point of publication, especially of a model, bear in mind it's model focused, so you publish a semantic model, extract the VPAX, tag it into the change request, because of course you're using change management, okay? Again, why the DevOps potentially starts, some of the wheels fall off with DevOps, that you're continually developing it. is you need to make sure you've got some record of what was published at a particular time. And yes, you can go through and in GitHub, there's a track and there's things like that for it. But who signed off, we've got the governance for it, is where things come through. DevOps, CDCI are brilliant if you have enough technical resources who understand the content. If you don't, it won't work. Gosh, I'm feeling like I'm really down on stuff now. Newcastle Park Runs Report. What I did with this, okay, was one of the things that we found actually works really well. So if we come through and we click on there, it brings me to, it overlays some stuff. And I hate this overlay because I'm sure there's bits which just aren't right and the lines aren't right and it just annoys my OCD side. We can go through though and we can put this in. You can put a lot more information into here. These were just kind of quick and easy that I put through. And then overall, you click again and it disappears. If we choose to edit the page, and I click here, again, you can see what comes through. And what's actually happening is if we go to view and we bring in the selection pane, not the sync slices pane, my goodness me, like I'm blind today. Selection pane, what you see is we've got a flyout panel, okay? So this flyout panel, this was one of the big things with selection pane, is you can actually create a panel and then you group them together into something. So if we see here, click on this and we say, right, group. Okay, so that ability to group is what you want to do. So you click multiple, group them together. So you build a little flyouts. In this case, I built as a button. Well, that's the flyout here. This is the home help text that we're looking at now. So I put a shape, just a rectangle, made it mostly transparent. And I put a button, a transparent button over, which is what switches between the bookmarks. And then overlaid, we've just put multiple shapes. And for all, yes, these are just shapes. You could put a text box, you could put anything you wanted in. The key thing was that we're able to, if I can see here, we've got text, we've got narrative. So if I put a text box in, for example, I could actually put a lot more information in and make it be something, say something else. Like say here, narrative. This could do so much more. Yeah. So if I remove this, so do that. Let's insert a text box. Okay, and put it over here. Put it there. Put it over there. You see it brings it in here. I drag it down into the right location. Okay, I can even rename it. So this is narrative help. And then it just becomes down to styling. How do you want to style it? So we can see, again, this is where text boxes can be a little bit difficult, that they seem to be, I'm sure there was a way to, it's background on. Okay, so put background on, put that there. So it looks similar now. Center the text. Event narrative summary. Let me make that bold, maybe a little bit bigger. Okay, and I should probably make that transparent, maybe. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Okay. So the point was always that you could kind of see what was under it, but we can then make this smaller. So this is a narrative generated using the non-Copilot engine. Okay. So we've got some information about it. Okay. So you can see, you can structure that around, you can do what you need to do with it. And then because you've got a button, that button has one action, which is to switch between bookmarks. The bookmark obviously has various things. So if we go to our view bookmarks, bring the bookmark pane in, you can see we have, bookmarks going, right, here we are, okay, we're in the wrong one. Newcastle main, so this is the main one. Got the flyout, where the flyout is popped out, we've got the help. Okay, so we've got various options available that depend on what you're wanting to do or where you select. So what's happening when you hit here is it's just opening up the bookmarks. If we select here, we can see the action to go to Newcastle Help. We can see here, we've just got a big button, and I've just put at the top, this is made just one big button, and I've put a second button down there, which does something different. There's a navigation button. This is going to Newcastle Flyout. And you can see we've got all the different options available across the different pages of this report that allow it to then function more like an app. And the last thing that we've done, if you see here, okay, in the edit, we've got the visual headers. Okay. If we go back to reading view, and I'm not going to save this, don't save this. Okay. The visual headers go. Okay. Again, that makes for a more app-like experience, I find, but there's a trade-off with it because it doesn't help people to understand what's going on. So that's one of the reasons why we've put in the filters there, where you can see what filters are applied. So if we picked 2021, you see it says calendar year 2021. And we've got videos showing how to create that. And it's definitely one to revisit and see how you like it. And I think for me, it's one we need to revisit in here anyway, because there's a few things that go on. But this method of putting documentation on the page works really well because you can go through, as we say, and have it on every page. So somebody just goes, clicks, it tells them what it is. There's nothing to stop you putting additional information in there, technical information, saying the version of the model, even potentially a location of where the model is or can be found, so people can quickly and easily, from a technical standpoint, understand which version is published in the app. Yeah, that's important. And that's one of the things that we need to be able to be thinking about as we get there. So between Vertipack Analyzer for the technical documentation, the core technical piece, where you've got these, okay, and this is one of the things that we need to be aware of. So if we check here, refresh history, this is refreshing every day, which is great. One of the things that this does really badly is it's got the calendar in it. So if your main report pack is updated monthly, for example, and you've got something which is different, has different granularity, you need to think about that. And this is again why we say you need to split your data flows out. But the way we back up data flows is we come through and we go to export the JSON. And that gives us the data flow. That gives us all the ETL processing that's gone on within the data flow. You can now, within Power BI Desktop, go and export the TMDL for that table, but that includes only what gets into that file. So in our cases, they're just going through and picking up the data flow table. There's no ETL processing in it. So we would need to go and back that up. And again, DevOps perspective, does it make sense to back those up every time they're updated? Definitely it does. DevOps perspective, what would stop me from having another one in here that was our dev one that somebody else was working on? One thing that data flows do really well, and I haven't checked as much as this is where these are with Gen 2 at the moment. One of the things I really did like about data flows and do like about them is the way that they are locked. Okay, this data flow has been modified by me. It is locked to me. If somebody else came through, they would have to effectively take the keys off me to then edit it. Now, what that does is it means that there's an element of control over who is modifying the data flow, which is what you want, because again, we've said very clearly, this is something we want to govern and control. We need to make sure that there is consistency and people aren't just going, oh, I'm going to tweak this. Oh, I'm just going to change this. Oh, I'm going to change that. Anything that you're bringing through, all the pipelines that are going through into your data, you need to make sure that they are standard and that they are logged. And it shouldn't be something people are just playing with and saying, I'm going to make this change today, I'm going to make that change tomorrow. It needs to be controlled, governed, and managed and be really firmly controlled. Yeah? Okay. So export those JSONs as well. And then you can back those up and keep them somewhere. As I say, as far as I'm aware, you still can't back up and do JSONs for these. There are obviously ADF, you've got your Jupyter notebooks, things like that, that allow you to do an awful lot of ETL processing in the Fabric landscape. Staying out of Fabric, which is what we're trying to do with this, data flows are kind of the main piece of tooling that you will use. You can go through and, of course, directly connect to databases and do stuff. I would say if you are going to go and connect to a database and bring it through and do it in a direct query, you need to think about a way of capturing that and what's going on, okay? Because it's not just going to be as simple as saying, well, this is the view source. In the past, that has been a good way of working that I've used, where a direct connection to a database, we wrote a view on the database server that was going to actually be used. And that way, again, we're putting that under the DBA's control as opposed to our control in Power BI, so that the models that end up using that, we're able to consistently use it. And then when it gets to the point of saying, well, it's models using it, there's a discussion to be had. Is direct query correct? Or do we go down the route and say, well, we're going to use a data flow that's going to periodically pull it through. We're going to bring through the enhanced compute engine, turn that on, and use direct query in Power in the data flow, because you can direct query a data flow as our way of connecting the models, so that we're, again, not putting constant load on the source system. So there's lots of things that you go through. There's lots of discussion points that you should be having. But I hope what you can see is that documentation is what allows us to have those conversations, because unless we understand, hey, this is what's going on, it's just something I've done. And that the act of documentation will also help me and you to get to that point of saying, I've created an issue here. I've got a problem there. So it's definitely something you need to be working on. It's definitely something to be aware of. Here's a little extra for you, okay? Now, this is something that I love, everyone else hates. I love it, okay? So you can see here, we've got a different icon, okay? Now, Power BI gives you the option of allowing people to customize their visuals, okay? And this is one that, it's like, for those of you British audience, like Marmite, okay? Some people either love it or hate it. I love it. Lots of people say I don't like it, okay? They don't like it because the user can customize what they see. I am viewing this as an app user, okay? You do not need a license, like a Power BI Pro license or that. As an app user, I can click and I can say, oh, well, I want to see a tree map. I say, oh, I want to see like a column chart of it all. Okay, and we can see, oh, right, okay. So what I need is to bring road information down to the legend. Okay, and then suddenly, oh, brilliant, okay. Horrible. It's horrendous, I know. But I've got the ability to do that. And this is always what they are. I don't like that, because they could they could do something silly. I could say, oh, I want to see it as matrix table. I can see it as matrix, I can do this. I can't resize it. I'm stuck with the size of it, but I've got the ability to make tweaks and changes to it. I can even say, oh, well, I don't actually want to see sales amount. I want to see, go away. I want to see the, let's go to under my DAX here. Alphabetical order, which is brilliant. It's not in the normal order. Let's go to profit percentage. Okay, so suddenly I can say, oh, I want to see profit percentages for these. Okay, and I've done all that. I can say, oh, well, this isn't going to work, is it? So we can go back to personalize the visual. We can say, well, let's bring this to here. Okay, so just again, help split it out a bit more. So I can start to actually see, oh, what's happening with these various things. So that it's going to work, isn't it? It allows me to do whatever I want to do. It could be horrendous, horrible. I would never want to let somebody do it. But ultimately, I've done it, okay? The nice thing is, if I go away and I come back, okay, it's gone. So it's not persistent in the app view, which is nice. If you've got workspace access, it can be persistent because it's like a bookmark. Let me see, is it down as a bookmark? No, okay. But I could add a personal bookmark, which you can do with these things. And that's always something we'd say, if I went through and I said, actually, let me make this into, let's really cheer people up. Let's make it into a donut chart, okay, with subcategories down and details, right? Okay. Do that, and then I could say, well, let's hit my bookmark. Okay, save it. I can go away, I can come back, I can go to my bookmarks, I can say, I want to see that. So it allows me to do that. So there's things I can do, even just as a viewer, because I've got the ability to do that. If you don't have that, then you can kind of filter on something and then you can bookmark that and say, well, this is it based on whatever it was. Okay. So it's, as I say, it's a Marmite feature, but it's definitely one that it has some interesting value concepts to it. In terms of it though, yeah, it's just a bookmark. So it's kind of reset the visuals, reset to default, and it's gone. In the workspace, it's the same thing. You just go reset to the default and it's gone. Okay, it's kind of there. So you can do what you want, bookmark it, reset to default, it's different. Yeah? What do you reckon then? Okay. Getting your documentation strategy right and your deployment plans and everything like that right is vital. There's no shortcuts to it, okay? You need to be aware that each development cycle within your landscape should have its own cycle within it. So that's what I'm saying. Your data pipelines, it's a cycle of work. That's why we separate them out, because there's a cycle around data pipelines. There's a cycle around models. There's a cycle around app content as well. And all of that needs to be worked through and understood. And you, as a business analyst, as a data analyst, as somebody within your business, needs to make sure that you've got real clear expectations around everybody who's involved in this, that they know when they can do things, when they can't, what to do when they make that, crap, I've got to do that urgent change because I need to go and present this to insert name here now, and they don't like the color blue and it needs to be purple because that's wrong. Or, you know, I've seen many times where the wrong colors come through and it's a tweak, you know, the mistake, it's got through testing. These things happen, okay? I'd be, you know, I wish they didn't. I really wish they didn't, but I've done change management, problem management, all this for far too long now. It happens. It shouldn't, but it does. So we need to make sure in the event, I needed to make that tweak for Steve so that I could present it to insert name here of our manager or our big boss, PHB, what, pointy head boss, Dilbert, anyone? Yeah. Presented it. I then download that copy, make sure that goes onto SharePoint or GitHub or whatever. This is the version that's there. Might be based on what we looked at. Oh, we can use a folder for it. So we have the folder labeled with it. And the point would be, it's now delivered, it's now gone live. We get to that point, we have that success or failure meeting that you do. We can then say, right, this is successful, at which point we download all the content out of that app folder, back it up. Okay, and that then becomes, this was what was published on this date. Okay, and that potentially is what we look to. And then when we're saying, well, we're going to build an upgrade, we potentially, do we clone those? And then it's becomes saying, well, we've got an offline version, which is what was agreed. We've got the version online, which is potentially is different. We've got then a new folder with, this is the version V3 that we're working towards. And at the point of publication, we simply untick those and tick the new ones. Okay. The bit we didn't cover is you can also rename the reports within the app. So the report name and the app name are completely different. So again, you end up having to look at GUIDs. Apps are great, and I hope you've seen having multiple apps in one workspace. I don't know how that's going to be managed, especially multiple apps go across multiple models in one workspace. Yeah, good luck. But don't worry, you can have an unlimited number. The structure and the way that Microsoft CD, CI, and DevOps mindset is pushing you is you will have a single deployment pipeline in one workspace going from data to app, or app because of this organizational apps now. That's the way they want you to go. The challenge with that is what it means is that your apps contain content relating to one model only, which then removes the concept of having a single pane of glass report pack where I've got data coming from my sales team, coming from my manufacturing team, coming from my warehouse team, coming from my R&D team into one dashboard so that my CEO and my senior leadership team and anybody else in the business that needs it can see exactly what's going on. And we might go to the point of saying, well, you know, we've got big enough, we've gone down the full premium capacity route, or F64, I think is now where they are with it. I'm not sure what's going on with licensing with that yet, but yeah, F64, where you get your free Power BI license. So we can say, oh, we're going to give, here's a nice view that we can give to everybody in the business that they can kind of see, so everyone feels at one with the business. That's going to be a mix of everything, isn't it? Like, we sold this much, we made this much, we did this much, we developed 5 new products this last month. Those might be the sorts of things that we want to put out there. Our CEO wants to know, what's the dev pipeline looking like for the new product that we're due to launch in March? How are the sales looking like? Are we actually going to be bringing enough money to fund our R&D? Are we looking at manufacturing? Is that going well enough? A single pane of glass would pull all that together. We would use our dashboards like you saw, where we can navigate, go back and forth between them. It's easy to do, but it means DevOps doesn't work, because your pipeline you can't have multiple pipelines ending in one place. And the nature of apps is that you can't then, you'd have to update the whole app. You can't partially update it. So if other people were working on things, you would need to be aware of that and say, right, okay, what we're doing. So there's a coordination that needs to happen, which is why the center of excellence is so important to you. Your center of excellence will be spending 80+% of their time dealing with the app content rather than the data pipeline work. And what you want to do is start to get to that structured layout where model updates become very periodic, so quarterly, biannually, even annually, to make sure that those are happening in a very structured fashion. Apps and individual report content is being updated potentially on a monthly cycle, weekly cycle maybe. Weeklies may be difficult, but monthly is where you want to get to, where we're going to update this. This is going to happen on insert date time here. There's an agreement. These are the ones that are coming through. We get that structured way of working, and we document everything as we go. And then one task of saying, well, we need to go make sure we put in that help button and the overall view of it, something that it's easy enough to do, and familiarity then comes through from your audience. There's the help button. I click there and it'll tell you what's going on. If you want to understand how DAX measures are written, yeah, you can use a data dictionary and show you how DAX measures are written, but it'll show you how they're written today, and that's not necessarily what was agreed or what was approved before. How do you track that? Which is why VPAX is the tool to use for that. Yeah? So you get to this mindset, you understand the artifacts that you're going to need to be restoring or retaining ad infinitum to make sure that you've got a proper documented and managed Power BI environment. If you like what you've heard, and I'm sure none of you do, I'm sure, I even going through and making this video, looking at the scripting for it was like, what are we saying? We need to be absolutely open and transparent about this, because if you're not fully aware and going into this eyes wide open, you will open yourself up to massive issues and failures, because chances are, and I can almost guarantee it, okay, your board, yeah, they care about the numbers, but they'll pick up more about, I don't like that bar chart, I don't like that, than they will about, the ETL scripting that we wrote, it's inefficient. They don't care, they don't see it. They see pretty picture there, I don't want that, I wanted a matrix table, I wanted something else. And you can write stuff, you can use your bookmarks to go between and toggle between and change visuals for it. Why not get in touch? Okay, put the QR code up, get in touch, Geordie Consulting, book a free consultation call. We'll work with you, we'll help you structure and build that environment that's going to support the documentation, and more importantly, continued growth and expansion of your Power BI data landscape across your organization, to really leverage just how much value you can get out of your data and help you and your business take your data usage to the next level. For now though, stay safe, take care, ta-da.